11 Rockets to the Declaration. Another thing that I really liked was Murs and Retrograde, because speaking to your kind of amoeba-like ability to shift and do all this stuff and all these different things, I really thought the comfort level showed on Murs and Retrograde because of your doing the real Roxanne's thing or Roxanne
Yeah.
thing, and the scratching, matching, and all that with that song. So how did that whole part of the song come about?
Man, I was driving to pick up my son in Arizona. I wrote, was writing in my head, and Fresha just gave me that beat. It was one of the few that weren't recorded on the road. And he in the middle of me writing to it, I couldn't think of anything to go to that beat. I was like, what should I write about? And he called me. He's like, he never calls me in the morning because as you can see, he's up on Instagram live till like 4 in the morning. He called me bright and early because I got to leave LA at 5 to get to Tucson by the time my kid gets out of school. And I'm like, it's 8 in the morning, Fresh, the fuck you want? Like, bro, I just had a crazy dream, man. And I'm speaking freely with you. It's just like, man, you was in there and it was some niggas with you, and y'all had beat up some white boys, and then some niggas came in, you beat them niggas up, and y'all niggas about to start shooting. And I was like, and then it was just, it was the homies from your neighborhood, you had to get out, and they had to sneak you out the back door. Man, you all right? And I'm like, yeah, I'm good, bro. And so then as soon as I hung up with him, I was like, boom, that's the intro. I was like, had to leave early because I had the niggas that came out, and it just started from there. And then I got to that part, and I was like, I don't ever try to like rap. I'm not into like rapping for the rap's sake and the art. I was like, fuck it, let's come up with a little pattern. I got 6 more hours of nothingness to drive through. Let me just play with this in my head. And if I was concerned about patterns and cadences and being cute, what would I do here? And I was like, oh man, Roxanne's the first, and it was a battle energy. And Roxanne's the first song that made me battle somebody. Christopher Wilkinson, first grade. There were some girls on the monkey bars. He was trying to do Roxanne. And I snapped because I didn't know it, but I love rap so much. I was like, I cannot bear to see this human being fuck up this great song. I was like, it doesn't go like that, Chris. This is how it goes, Christopher. And boom, right in front of the girls, I was like, and that was my first MC moment. So I don't. So it was something like very primal in me to like go into that pattern. Um, because the person that I was directed to is just constantly he lurks my social media.
Oh wow.
And
Okay.
I'm just like, bro, I know you're lurking, but for you to like my picture or to comment, he only comments to say something like incendiary, but will never take my calls personally. When I reach out, be like, bro, we need to sit down. I heard, like, I guess you have a problem. Like, what's up? I'll pull up. I've sat there while people we both know text him, like, Mercer's looking for you, bro. Won't respond. Then when I asked the dude, I'm like, well, what did he say? Why didn't he respond? I don't know, man. You're gonna have to talk to him. And I'm like, all right, you're a coward. And so it just made me want to talk to him.
Gotcha. Okay.
In my Roxanne voice, which is you know, first grade playground battle tactics.
And that's part of what was making me think about the melancholy, because that, even though that song has those elements in it, it also sounded fun how you were doing it. Sound like since I know you, I was imagining you had fun doing that part. You know.
Oh yeah, for sure. I was so pleased with myself. I was like, oh, this is the best. And then later it was mixed and ready to go. And I was like, Fresh, I got a crazy idea. I was like, can we put the Roxanne right there? And I thought he was gonna shoot me down. He was like, and that's the thing with him as a producer, he worked with me more on how I wanted things to sound. And he was very patient with me because I'm a Pisces, I'm back and forth, I'm crazy. And he was really, really patient with me and open to ideas, like on Diana Doom and Mercer Retrograde to be specific. So he added, and I was like, "Oh, this is perfect. This is everything." The first grade me is really proud of me right now.
Okay. Well, another thing that I thought was great was the Regulator song, because on there you're talking about you're far from regular. If you're regular, I'm sorry. And the thing that is amazing to me is, like, I think everybody should be who they are, and some people are going to be regular because that's what it is. But if you have something that makes you special, which I believe most or all people do, something about you makes you distinctive, we shouldn't bury that or we shouldn't let that down.
Yeah.
So, or we shouldn't, push it down in our personality or our actions. So, for you, Regulator, why was that something that you really wanted to bring to the forefront on that song?
I mean, all of it is tongue in cheek and kind of like vengeance for Warren G. Because I wanted to spell out regulate because classic is what's next, what's next, what's NXET. And I was like, man, I had to defend that so much as a West Coast artist coming up.
And how
I
do
was
you
like,
defend it, by the way?
he's just freestyling, you know what I mean? It was just a freestyle. It was fun, you know what I mean? And you go back and you change the moment and it changes the moment, you know what I mean? And for him to stand behind it and just be like, forget it, man. Like it was a moment, it was freestyle, it was fun. Like this is where hip hop started. Like I've messed up a bunch of times spelling stuff in a freestyle, you know? And but it's still a classic record, you know? And so that was the tongue in cheek, like I'm gonna spell Regulate, you know what I mean? Um, but yeah, you're like you, man, like we're all irregular if we're not afraid. You know what I mean? And I think if you are regular, it's probably because you want to fit in. You know what I mean? And that's why I feel sorry for you. Like I'm not gonna judge you, but I take pity on you that you don't have the courage to let whatever the creator gave you that's unique to shine because it would make us all better if you were to just let that out. But instead you want to criticize me. And that's kind of was like I've been like that my whole life. Like I'm not mad at y'all for being who you are. Why are you mad? Oh, it must be because you're scared to be me, and I have the audacity to be me, and that makes you angry for whatever reason. So you want to pick on me, and
Well, that's also a common theme in a lot of your music, but also on this album, The Declaration, because it's like, why are we always so things are different and people get upset with that or frustrated with that? And to me, it's like we should embrace that and learn from it and celebrate it as opposed to like trying to squash it or quench it. That's something I've never understood. So for you, that's clearly a theme on this project and in your life because you talk about the skateboarding and being weirdo and all this different type of things. So how do you think you'll ever how or if do you think you'll ever find some peace with that?
yeah, man, I think this is my piece with it. You know, uh, I for so long I feel like I've catered to and during this whole BLM uprising this past year. You know, my initial knee jerk was like, you know, I've been on this for a while. And then I noticed that, you know, my wife um, went to college. She's a Brazilian woman. You know, she went to college and has, you know, predominantly a lot of black friends. And the collegiate black experience is very different than my experience. And they have words to describe things. And came across code switching, and I never heard that term. You know, she's taught me like microaggressions, things that you know, shit I'm not equipped or what, not you know, I'm not hip. And code switching, I was like, yo, I've been doing that in my music since since after Murs rules the world. And that was after Slug took me on tour, and I saw like, oh shit, like that summer my block was on fire. And I would tell him all the time, like that summer taking me on Warp Tour and taking me on God Loves Ugly Tour saved my life. I definitely, you know, that was a time that I would have been caught up because everybody that was around me was caught up in some shit at that time. And I just happened to be on tour making $25 or $75 a night, whatever it was, which was a lot of money to me back then, a day for rapping. And I said, well, if I just continue to talk about the shit that these people want me to talk about over the beats they're into and working with the artists they like, I could stay out here for a while. Fuck yeah, I'll be Aesop Rock's hype man. I'll be LP's hype man. Like, I don't give a shit. Like, you know what I mean? And so many people I met that were black artists, we talked about this, that were like, oh, you know, ain't no niggas coming to the show. And I'm like, bro, I got niggas at home. I got niggas in my family. Like, I don't, when I go to work, this is keeping my bills paid. Like, if you want that, you must have a lack of excitement or a lack of authenticity in your real life. 'Cause I don't want these because they don't got money anyway. They don't buy t-shirts. Like, you know what I mean? And this is back when gangster rap was surviving. Gangster rap didn't need tours and merch. They were surviving off a radio play. Like, I wasn't about to sell out my people. Conscious rap was dead in the water, you know, and I found this thing that people liked what I do. White people liked it when I rapped about this shit. And they didn't like me as much as the white rappers, but as long as I stayed close in proximity to a white rapper they like, I could float. So I just freaked it for a while, and I had no idea what I was doing. And and I kind of shied away from. You know me, like we talk about. I love gangster rap. I love it. Like I've never heard the Black Star album. You know what I mean? I've never heard a whole Roots album after their second one. I don't. I don't. But I can tell you, I bought every single E40 record that exists on the planet Earth. Like I have a tremendous amount of Mac Dre on my phone. Like it's just this is who I am, and I've grown. You know what I mean? But my roots are that, and I've always been scared to alienate my paying fan base to speak from the heart, or from my roots. And and now it's and it's very rare that like I have friends that didn't grow up like that can meet me. Like me and you can meet somewhere in the middle. You know what I mean? But it's because you're kind of obtuse in your world as well. Um, so I didn't want to alienate my paying fan base, and by this album, I was like, you know what, fuck it, man. Um, it's back to being. Also, too, I was living other places. I was living in Orange County. I was living in Tucson. And now I live in Inglewood. I can go a whole day without seeing a white person or hearing non-rap music, or what I mean. This is who I was the most of my life growing up, and this is where I am now. So I have to create from where I'm at.
Well, I
Um,
think too, Unbothered, for instance, on Love and Rockets 2, the Declaration really sonically, I think from knowing you, that beat is not one that standard you rap over, but it's something I would imagine that's the type of thing that you as Nicholas, the guy I know,
yeah,
likes, you
yeah,
know?
that's yeah. And it was funny because we almost didn't put that song on there, and I didn't want to rap to it. And shout out to Mark Brown. He was like, "You should do something to it," because it's definitely an E40's track. Like that's like a Bay Area slap right there. And I was like, "Man, I did it. I didn't like it." And then my wife was playing it. I was playing the album out loud. We were talking. We cut down a couple songs. Like, tell me what songs you don't like. And the kids were out there. And my son looked up to me and said, "Daddy, I love this song." And then my wife was like, "Your little brother would love this song. Like you can't not put it on there." And my little brother is like my biggest fan and the person who knows me better than anyone on this earth because he's been through everything I've been through. You know what I mean? And we love the same movies. We love, we're like this. We're so much like this we can't spend that much time together because it gets, tense. But I love him to death. And if I had a number one fan, I would, one of my number one fans, it would be him. And so I was like, I can't be wrong if he likes it, or what I mean, if he would love it, it's just not right for my fan base. And then when I had all this feeling about me alienating people when it came out, and then my core fan base was happy, and I was so pleasantly surprised and grateful for them to be and accepting for something that's a little different. But also, I guess it was more testament to I guess I have been pretty true to myself this whole time because it didn't seem like a step. And Unbothered was overwhelmingly a favorite amongst I have a Patreon, and that's why I play stuff for them. And these people who pay monthly to be, I can't get a more concentrated test group. And they were all like, I played the whole album for them, and they're like, "Man, Unbothered." And I'm like, "What? Are you serious?" And I'm like, "Cool. Like we're all more alike than I thought." I have been attracting like-minded people, regardless of race or gender or background. And so yeah, then it made me because I was the one song on the album that I was iffy on. Every Love and Rockets one, I could tell you like this song shouldn't have gone on, this song shouldn't have gone on. As soon as it came out, I was like, oh yeah, that was a bad choice. That was a bad choice. But I'm pleased with everything. I took a chance on Unbothered, and I'm glad you pointed that out because that would probably be something I would love to hear E40 rap on.
Well, congratulations on it, man. Because Love and Rockets Volume 2, The Declaration, if you guys haven't heard it yet, definitely get it, stream it, download it, buy it, all that. Support Murs. And man, we really appreciate you coming through to Unique Access again, Murs, as a repeat guest. So thank you very much for that too, man.
Yeah, man. Thank you, man. I got a lot to catch up on these. I gotta listen to it on podcast. I'm an old man. I can't do the YouTube, but man, you have some killer guests, bro. You're we were getting ready for my second son, and or no, I'm sorry, when my second son was born, we were going to Kaiser a lot, man, and it was just like Also, like it's in the Baldwin Hills district where I grew up, you know, going a lot. So hearing stories about that era of music, you know, 80s LA rap and getting the lowdown while I'm like in near right across the street from the Crenshaw Plaza, it was just like, oh man, it was getting me through those visits because I'd have to walk our 1 year old around while my mom or mom and the baby were up in the thing because he couldn't sit still. And it was just, I was like, man, I'm just gonna listen to this podcast and hopefully he'll absorb some of this game while we're here listening to Uncle Soren and you know whoever chop it up. So man, I thank you because it's giving me hours upon hours of shit to study and insight to someone who like I said, it's easier to find shit on Rakim, not as easy for Mixed Master Spade. You know what I mean? And Mixed Master Spade means no disrespect, but means a lot more to me than Rakim. Rakim is great, but Mixed Master Spade is great to me. It's just as great to me. And it's hard for me to find those stories. So for someone like you that's going out there and tracking these brothers down and asking them the good question, I'm like, ooh, ooh. And then when they start telling the stories, like I know it. You know what I mean? I'm like, oh, you were in Pomona and you were like, I used to walk to the swap meet in Pomona and I used to buy gospel gangster CDs at the swap meet in Pomona. Like my mom used to get her hair done. Like all these stories, like I get goosebumps right now, bro. Like, cause I feel it. Like I get the subway and I like fantasize about what it'd be like to be in the South Bronx in the early 80s, late 70s. But I know what it was like to be in LA in the 80s. But not and for me, it was like I was there, but I was 7 or 8. So I knew what I wanted to be doing. Like I wanted to be in that IROC driving and I wanted to have the Jerry curl and I want, you know what I mean? So to get to hear the stories of people who lived it, oh man, it's a different feeling, bro. So thank you.
Thank you,
If
man.
you're watching this and you haven't checked it out, please. I'm vouching. It's authentic as fuck, and he's asking the right questions, and it's a very, very important era in Black history, in California history, in hip hop history. You know, um, and I'm glad you're documenting it or continuing to document it.
Thank you, sir. Well, I appreciate it as always, man.
Yeah, man.